Hey, Kayflan.
Hey, Waf. What are we up to today?
Today, we're talking about Introduction to DataFrames and how to use Python and specifically the pandas library to do data science. So what we have is we have a bunch of data that we've collected from a lot of different sources. And the best way to organize data is to put it into a spreadsheet. And one thing we want to do is we want to focus on having tidy data. So tidy data requires us to have two things. So if we have tidy data, we want data that is going to be organized where row number 1 is column headers, and every other row has one observation of data. So we want to make sure that whatever files we have, we look at the top row of that file, and we should see headers. And then every other row we see in the file, we want to see one data point in that file.
Sounds good. Is that the only thing that has to happen in order for the data to be tidy?
The second thing we need is we need it in a file format that is easy to read. And specifically, what we're going to focus on in Discovery is we're going to focus on a file format called CSV. So CSV stands for comma separated values. And what we're going to expect to see is we're going to expect to see each individual value separated by a comma, another value separated by a comma, and another value. So I think you have some data sets that we're going to nerd out throughout the semester with you, Carly.
Yeah, so I actually have a CSV right here. And this is a data set that is looking at high school GPAs.
Yes, so this is one of the big projects we worked on in the past year. And on this project, I see that the very first row says school, comma, year, fall, comma, equals 4.0. And this looks like every single other row is one observation, where an observation is a school and a fall semester.
Ooh, yeah, that looks good. And it definitely follows that tidy format. And it's in a CSV, so I think it's in a file that's easy to read.
Yep, once we have it as a CSV, we need to do two things to go ahead and get this into a table that we can start to work with inside Python. So the first thing we need to do is we need to import the pandas library. And this is going to allow us to read CSVs. So we'll import pandas as PD. And this will allow us to use PD everywhere else in the program, and we'll refer to the pandas library.
Got it. How come we're calling it PD?
So as data scientists, we want to be lazy. We're going to use pandas a lot throughout the entire course. So we want to make sure that we don't have to type pandas every single time. That's like 6 keystrokes.
That is a lot to type. So when we are referencing the pandas library, now we can just call it PD?
Exactly. And the second thing we need to do is we want to actually convert this into a table. So to do that, I'm going to store this in a variable called df, and we'll then load the data frame using the pandas library, store it in a variable called data frame, and then print out the variable data frame so that we can see what's inside the table.
Got it. So df stands for data frame.
Exactly. So the second line of code we're going to write in almost every single notebook we do all course long is df is equal to pd dot read underscore CSV, then open the parentheses, put a quote, and then put the URL of where the data frame or where the CSV file is located. Inside quotes, close my quotes, and close the parentheses. The third line is going to be simply to write df. So these 3 lines of code combined will import the pandas library, load a CSV file into a variable called df, and then display the variable df. We can then manipulate that variable more later, but we're going to right now just focus on loading this into a table.
That sounds good.
So Carly, it looks like you have Visual Studio Code pulled up over there, which is what we use to write Python in Discovery.
Yes, and I'm going to start with importing pandas as PD, and I'm going to run this cell by pressing Shift-Enter, and nothing actually happened. It just gave me a green check mark.
Oh, awesome. So it seems like something happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And when you see a green check mark, it means that computer ran the code successfully, and there were no errors.
Perfect. So now I'm going to do the next line of code, which is df equals pd dot read underscore CSV. So now I need to put the URL into this read CSV function. So where is the data set located?
Yeah, this is the common data set, or the CDS data set. So it's located on my faculty website. So you can find it at https://waf.cs.illinois.edu/discovery/cds.csv.
Sounds good. And I press Shift Enter. Again, I see the green check mark, but in order to actually display this data frame, I'm going to type df.
Yep, so up until now, we've loaded the data frame in by using that df is equal to pd.readcsv, but we haven't asked Python to display it, and we asked Python to display a variable that's putting it by itself.
And this basically took that original CSV file that we had right here. So yeah, this is a little difficult to read, but now the data frame looks like this, which is much more easy to read, and we can see the column headers, we can see all the observations, and then we also see this column right here.
Yeah, so we see that everything corresponds exactly to the CSV file. We see the first, we see school is here, and then school is here. Year and fall is here, and year and fall here is the column header. We look at the first row, it's UCLA from 2024, and it's UCLA from 2024. So everything matches one-to-one, and you're right, there is a new column that wasn't here before.
Oh yeah, this column just kind of appeared.
Yeah, and this is called the index column. And the index column is going to uniquely identify every row. So we want a unique identifier to refer to this as row 0, this is row 1, row 2, row 3, but row 4. And by default, the rows are going to start with 0 and count up by 1. But it doesn't have to be numbers. We may use other indices later, but the default index and the way Python's going to refer to variable or refer to different observations is going to be index column, and we're going to start counting from 0, which is going to be a theme throughout the entire course. The computers don't want to waste numbers, so why don't we start with the very first number, which to a computer is the number 0.
Yeah, that looks great.
And you have another data set that you brought us, Carly.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show that it doesn't matter what we use, that the same process applies no matter what the data set we have here.
And here's the second data set. So this is data set that's looking at a bunch of diamonds, and this is CSV file, so the comma separated values file. And we can see the same idea that these are the column headers. We have the caret, which is how much the diamond weighs, the cut, the color, the clarity, etc. And then each row is an observation for a individual diamond.
So this is our diamonds.csv data set that we're going to use throughout all of this discovery. And when we load this in by doing import pandas pd, df is equal to pd.read_csv using the diamonds.csv data set and display it, what would we expect to see, Carly?
Yeah, so we should expect to see something that looks like this. So a nice, easy to read data frame where the first row is the column headers. We have the index column. Right here is the first column, and then here's all the data about all of the diamonds.
That looks amazing. And just to kind of show that it really doesn't matter what we do, it looks like you have Python pulled up, and the only change we need to make is instead of using the CDS data set, if you just change that to diamonds.csv, we should see that the exact same code produces an entirely different data frame because it's loading a different CSV file.
Yep, and I just ran that code, and it worked. When I type df, I get the diamonds data set looking exactly like that.
So this is incredibly powerful. We're able to load in any data set in the world, as long as it's tidy data, and get it into Python to allow us to start nerding out with that data. This is going to be an incredible, powerful tool that we're going to use throughout the entire course, and it's going to let us nerd out with data sets faster and more efficiently than we've ever been able to do before if we didn't have Python and the pandas programming language.
And that's an introduction to data frames.